1 week left in the NBA season. Seems like the season has flown by. Let's touch on a few awards, the big ones. MVP. Jokic is odds-on, huge favor, minus 4,000 as the favorite to win. He's on a typical Jokic line, 26, 12, and 9. Denver's tied for first with Minnesota in the Western Conference. SGA, 30 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. OKC was under 500 last year. Now they're technically second in the West. We'll touch on that a little bit more. Luka's getting hot at the right time. Yeah. 34, 10, and 9, career high in points, rebounds, and three-point shooting. Season high 73, league high, 73. Over this last month, the Mavs are one of the hottest teams in the game at 14-2. Kyrie just had a big game last night. And last but not least, Minnesota, who boasts the number 1 defense in the NBA, tied for first in the West. And Ant-Man is on his way to being a superstar at 26, 5-5, first 50-win season since Ticket in 2004. So 4 great candidates right there. You know, you could probably obviously throw Jason Tatum in there and what he's been able to do this year with the Celtics. But it's really looking like the MVP is going to come out of the Western Conference. Out of those 4 guys right there, who are you looking at and who are you liking?
It's so close. I'm going with, I think Minnesota and Denver would be one of the 2 teams that end up number 1. So if Denver wins it, Jokic definitely deserves it. But if Minnesota wins, I think Ant-Man deserves the MVP. But if something crazy happens where OKC ends up in the number 1 spot, I think Shai deserves it. So whoever wins up in the number 1 spot, with those 3 guys being so dominant this year and being such important players on their teams, I think whoever wins up in number 1 spot, they get the MVP.
I love both those guys you mentioned, but I'm also looking at SGA and how young that team is. There's no other star on that team. I mean, there's young up-and-comings, but there's no other official star. This team was under 500 last year, and this dude's been absolutely amazing and doing it without saying a word. Right. Just his clever Instagram handle. So I think it's a great run this year. And then obviously Luka, hot. His teams are, around that 4, 5, 6 space in the Western Conference right now. But guys are really playing good basketball, and I'm definitely looking forward to the playoffs this year. Dallas is going to be scary, Jack. They're getting hot at the right time. Luka and Kyrie really seem like they're gelling. Kyrie's playing all the games, performing like we know he can perform. He had a crazy game winner not too long ago with the left hand from the free throw line. This end of the season is going to be good, and I'm definitely looking for the playoffs. You got to think that the play-in situation is the Lakers, the Kings, the Warriors, and the Pelicans, all solid young, or the 2 Kings and Pelicans younger, but then kind of the changing of the guard with if Golden State ends up playing the Lakers in that play-in situation. So a lot of excitement coming up over the next month in the NBA. We're definitely looking forward to it. Now moving on to the Defensive Player of the Year, Wemby and Gobert, the battle of the Frenchmen. Gobert is favored minus 3,000. Wemby is plus 1,000. Let's take a look at their stats. Wemby at 3.5 blocks a game. Over the last month, he's been averaging 4 blocks a game to go with the 1.3 steals and 11 rebounds per game. Gobert, 2.5 blocks a game, 0.6 steals and 12 rebounds a game, and he's the anchor of the number 1 defense. Last week, Draymond Green said he changes his stance. He says Wemby should win the Defensive Player of the Year with what he's doing defensively. I don't know what lab they created him in. He's been absolutely incredible, Jack, and you're big on that. You feel like, obviously he's been doing his job. They're just a young team that's not very good. But what are your thoughts on the defensive battle for those 2 guys right there?
I honestly feel like if Wemby was on a better team, man, like you said, I think he'll be up for the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. Right? You know what I mean? He's Defensive Player of the Year for the way he's playing, carrying the team offensively and being able to do that defensively. Gobert is solely expected to play defense and block shots. He's not expected to do anything on the offensive end. So, and it is a Defensive Player of the Year award. Gobert does his job to a T. But I'm going with the young fella, man. Able to do that at a young age, his first year, man. I think hands down he should get it.
Wemby's numbers across the board are better. It's just different styles of teams. If Gobert does win this, it puts him in elite defensive standings. It'll be his 4th Defensive Player of the Year. Only person in that category is Ben Wallace and Dikembe Mutombo. So you got to put him, if he wins one more in his career, I mean, you got to talk about him as one of the greatest defensive centers of all time. And there's some people that are standing around us that don't really like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the numbers don't lie.
Right.
I mean, you can not like him as a person, you can not like his game or that he's not an aggressive type of player, but he gets the job done and what he's paid to do. And like I said, numbers don't lie.
Coach of the Year. Mark Denegolt, excuse me if I mispronounce his last name, over there at OKC. Chris Finch in Minnesota. Jamal Mosley in Orlando. They've had a huge turnaround. And then obviously Mazzulla. Mazzulla was someone that, took a lot of flack last year during the playoffs because a lot of people said he was outcoached. Boston's done absolutely everything they can do this year. A best record in the league. Playing great basketball. And probably, I wonder who odds-on favorite, but I'd probably say that, they're right there with Denver as odds-on favorite to win a championship. But out of those 4 or 5 coaches, Jack, who do you like the most?
I would go Minnesota coach, considering that, another 50-win season that they ain't had since 2004. And the way they playing, man, they're one of the best teams in the league. And I don't think they've been at the top of the West like this in a while, so, consistently. So I like him. But what OKC coach is doing with those young guys, he has to be in the conversation as well.
I mean, obviously, too, Jamal Mosley, someone who's kind of helped turn around, with that young core, the Orlando Magic. And then, Mazzulla has his team with the best record in the league. But I'd probably go with the OKC coach. Again, just, obviously one superstar and a bunch of young talent that is, bought in and
shout out Chet,
playing together. And it's fun to watch. And they definitely have next. Next up, most improved player. Maxey is the favorite, followed by Kobe White and Jalen Williams, one of those young stars, up-and-coming stars over at OKC. Out of those 3 guys, Jack, who you rolling with?
I ain't gonna lie, it's hard. Maxey has been doing it for a couple of years now, but that Jalen Williams kid in OKC,
nice.
He came out of nowhere, bro. But for just considering that he should have been won an award or something by now, you know what I'm saying? I'm going with Maxey. Maxey been solid the last couple of years.
Agreed. I think it was a blessing in disguise for Philly to lose Harden because it gave Maxey a real chance to kind of blossom. Yeah, Maxey's been that one consistent for Philly. Averaging nearly 26 points a game, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. Embiid has been out a lot of the season, so I definitely think it's time for Maxey to step up and get that most improved 6-man. Tight race between Malik Monk and Naz Reid. Per DraftKings, they say those guys are odds-on favorite, but I also like Norman Powell with the Clippers and what Bobby Portis has been able to do out there with the Bucks. Out of those 4 guys right there, Jack, who you like?
I will go with Monk, but he's hurt. And Naz Reid, I coached him at the Iverson game. He had a tough start to his career, and now he's with Minnesota at the top of the West, and he's playing solid minutes off the bench. I got to go with Naz Reid.
Yeah, I'm not mad. Naz Reid was my favorite free agent coming into this season. Minnesota did a great job by re-signing him, but I'm going to be a homer here. Even though, Malik Monk just went down last week. I think he's had a hell of a season, man. He's raised his number. He raised his play. He's a difference maker. The whole game shifts when Malik Monk comes on the floor. So I'm going to go with Malik Monk in hopes for his first 6-Man of the Year award.